Warning! Kinda Murdery contains adult themes, explicit language, and descriptions of violence. It is not suitable for anyone, and we recommend you stop listening now.
True crime with a dash of the paranormal, the garish, the strange, and the darkly comic. I'm Zevin Odelberg, host of Kinda Murdery, a podcast that's about more than just murder. It's my very own pocket dimension, home to a curated collection of bizarre and compelling stories. The unsolved, the unsettling, and the unbelievable. I cover it all, just so long as it's kinda murdery. Just like it says on your calendar, welcome to a brand new year, ladies and gentlemen. It is 2024, and just like it says in the intro, it's all true. I am Zevin Odelberg, and this is Kinda Murdery. Thank you for deciding to be here. I've got quite a story for you today. It's a heist story from the 1990s about a real-life Thomas Crown, the Venetian Danny Ocean, if you will. An honest-to-God high-class cat burglar, what is sometimes referred to as a second-story man. A story of family, mafia, vengeance, priceless artifacts, and just a little bit of fun. If that piques your interest, won't you please join me as we uncover what truths we can and solve what mysteries we may. Kinda Murderies, the Daylight Cat Burglar, Pipino and the Madonna Bambino, starts now. Venice, Italy, a city as enchanting as it is perplexing with its meandering pathways and leaning buildings, has long been a magnet for tourists and locals alike. But among the awestruck visitors, one man stood out on a spring afternoon in 1991. Vincenzo Pipino, an Italian whose confidence and demeanor belied his unremarkable looks, was a master of another craft, thievery. As he monopolized the telescope atop the iconic 323-foot bell tower in San Marco Square, few could guess at his real intentions. Through the lens, Pipino's gaze traversed the grandeur of Venice. First, there was the Palazzo Barozzi, a testament to Baroque elegance and a repository of stolen art, thanks to deals with individuals like Pipino. Next, Vincenzo's eyes settled on the Ca Dario, its marble facade leaning ominously, a palazzo as famous for its curse as for its art. Owners of this building had faced dire fates: murder, madness, or financial ruin. I suppose you could say that the Ca Dario is kinda murdery. But it was another location that captured Pipino's keen interest, a centuries-old palazzo across the Grand Canal, a testament to the opulence of its owner, Raul Gardini, one of Italy's wealthiest men. Pipino assessed the building meticulously, noting the skylight 40 feet above a secluded alley, the crumbling brick facade, the brittle roof tiles. A perilous climb, certainly, but for a prize hidden within, it seemed worth the risk. As modern Venice slowly sinks into the sea, every turn within that ancient labyrinth brings a new mystery to an old world. Vincenzo Pipino's story intertwines with the city's mysterious charms. His exploits, a blend of daring and deception, are yet another layer in the rich tapestry of Venice's history. A city where the past is always present, and every shadow could tell 1,000 tales. And in the shadowed heart of Venice, a place where ancient violence, blood, and conspiracy whispers from every corner, Vincenzo Pipino, clad in his unmistakable style, a red velvet suit and white shoes, or a white checkered jacket with a black tie, embarked on his most audacious endeavor. His destination? The Gardini Palazzo, a fortress of wealth hidden amidst a maze of narrow alleys. As Pipino navigated the winding pathways, they led him to an alley so constricted it seemed to close in around him. There, the tall lacquered doors with their exotic bronze figurines stood as silent witnesses to his approach. The back interest of the Gardini Palazzo loomed before him, its black door an unspoken challenge. The unanswered doorbell echoed in the quiet alley, a squawking harbinger of the risk to come. Behind Pipino, Claudio, a friend and accomplice, stood watch. Claudio had exceptionally sharp eyes, but he was deaf, and his impaired hearing was a notable vulnerability any time Vincenzo chose to work with him. Yet, in the world of clandestine activities, trust outweighs perfection, and Claudio was a trusted ally. Their silent communication, a dance of waves and thumbs up, punctuated the tension of the moment. Then, the climb began. Although Pipino was a seasoned veteran in navigating the treacherous facades of Venice's palaces, here he faced a new adversary, time, and its toll on the city architecture. The salt water from the Adriatic had been unkind to the brickwork, leaving it fragile and treacherous. With each precarious grip and step, he inched closer to his goal, 40 feet above. Disaster struck momentarily as a brick crumbled under his weight, sending shards tumbling to the cobblestones below. The sound of the brick's descent was a stark reminder of the stakes. A fall from this height would not be forgiving, but experience and resolve steadied his hand. Pipino had faced the wrath of rusted rainspouts and decaying shutters for over 30 years. To him, the risk was a familiar companion. With a deep breath, he steadied himself, refocused on the climb, and ascended further into the heights of Venice's secrets. Each move brought him closer to the Gardini Palazzo's treasures, each step a dance with danger. In the city of masks and mysteries, Pipino was both a spectator and a player, weaving his own story into the fabric of Venetian lore. In post-World War II Venice, a city of enchantment and decay, the lives of the Pipino brothers, Vincenzo and Alfredo, unfolded like a tale of two paths diverging, although this time not in the woods as Robert Frost would have it, but rather in an ancient, urban setting, a city famed for high art, murder, conspiracy, Machiavelli, and, of course, the Medicis. Vincenzo, the eldest of 5, found the maze of alleys and canals a playground for his daring spirit. His escapades, leading his siblings on adventurous exploits, echoed the vibrant heart of Venice, from swimming in the canals to reveling in the city's festive fervor, like the Festa del Redentore with its boat-bridged path to distant islands. Yet, beneath the city's magic, the scars of war and economic strife cast long shadows over the Pipino household. Their father, a ferryboat captain, struggled to feed his family, pushing young Vincenzo towards a life of petty theft. He became a familiar, mischievous figure in Piazza San Marco, pilfering croissants and darting through clusters of pigeons, with the police hot on his heels. These pursuits were more than just survival. They were a dance with the adrenaline of the chase set against the backdrop of Café Florian's waltzes. Brother Alfredo, in contrast, was drawn to a different kind of enchantment. A beggar's magic trick ignited a passion for illusion in him. Magic became Alfredo's way to escape, a way to master the city not through physical feats, but through the art of deception. While the family embraced Alfredo's magical pursuits, they frowned upon Vincenzo's thievery. Desperate to reform Vincenzo and his increasingly felonious hobbies, their mother conjured the tale of Gamba de Oro, a ghostly punisher meant to deter Vincenzo's nocturnal activities. Gamba de Oro, or the Golden Leg, a phantom born of a mother's concern, haunted both brothers, instilling a deep fear of darkness and the supernatural. In fact, fear of the nighttime vengeance of the Golden Leg inadvertently honed Vincenzo's skills. He adapted to operate in daylight, mastering the art of scaling buildings to avoid the haunted stairwell. His reputation as an expert climber grew. As the brothers got older, their paths reflected their distinct choices. Alfredo, embracing his role as a magician, honed his craft in sleight of hand, while Vincenzo's path veered deeper into the world of thievery. Both gifted in deception, their talents manifested in sharply contrasting ways. Alfredo saw himself destined for the stage, a magician in the truest sense, while Vincenzo embraced his identity as a thief, a role he seemed born to play. In the epic artwork that is Venice's storied streets, the brothers' lives wove together tales of magic and mischief, reflecting the dual nature of a city where beauty and decay, honesty and deceit, existed side by side. And now back to that spring afternoon in 1991, as Vincenzo Pipino, a master of his craft at age 47, navigated the precarious rooftop of the Gardini Palazzo. He did so with a mix of caution and seasoned skill. Every step was measured, avoiding the weak points that could send a shower of red and brown clay tiles crashing down the ancient walls of Venice. Once inside the palazzo, after easily bypassing the locked windows, Pipino was in his element, moving through the darkness with the confidence of a man who had spent a lifetime perfecting his craft. In the absence of his usual pigeon trick to detect motion sensors, Pipino relied on the proximity of the bustling Campo San Barnaba as his cover. In the alleyway, Claudio, his hard-of-hearing accomplice, was momentarily unresponsive to Pipino's attempts at getting his attention. Vincenzo had to grab Claudio's arm in order to make the other man realize he was there. Startled, Claudio exclaimed, "Madonna!" Pipino quickly hushed him, and then they were both inside. Claudio was uncomfortable with the daylight streaming through the windows. "We should be doing this at night." But Pipino was unfazed, replying firmly, "If you want to work at night, you can work with someone else." You see, Vincenzo Pipino's childhood spent living in fear of the Gamba d'Oro, the golden leg that would come to punish him for his chicanery, meant that even in middle age, he remained, resolutely, a truly rare and endangered species. The daylight cat burglar. Back to inside the Gardini Palazzo and the heist currently in progress. Pipino's quest for luxury led him straight to the bedrooms, bypassing the immediate riches of the dining room. His search was thorough and respectful. He discovered and carefully replaced intimate photos of Gardini's wife. This was in line with his personal code of conduct. No violence, no blackmail, and an aversion to unnecessary mess. In one of the rooms, Pipino's eyes lit up upon finding a blue cashmere sweater. Trying it on, he found it a perfect fit, a small personal victory amidst the heist. Claudio, meanwhile, was more pragmatic in his approach, grabbing a golden Mont Blanc pen. Pipino's response to this was characteristic, a blend of aesthetics and ethics. No, he stopped Claudio, asserting, "The pen is hideous." Claudio, accustomed to Pipino's standards, pocketed the pen regardless and moved on. Pipino, meanwhile, turned his attention to the artwork and then to a collection of silverware. The craftsmanship of the silverware, marked with a small lion's head indicative of master Venetian craftsmen, caught his eye. Claudio was puzzled by Pipino's interest in the silverware, but Pipino explained, "If you don't take them, it's a sin," and highlighted their value. Plus, they're worth about 10 million lira. That was around $8,000 in 1991, making them some pretty pricey forks and knives. Vincenzo and Claudio's haul included not just valuables, but also sentimental items, like a wooden lion, the Gardini family's emblem. Laden with 4 massive duffel bags, they made their way to a borrowed speedboat. As they blended into the traffic on the Grand Canal, they escaped with an estimated $400,000 in loot, including Pipino's prized cashmere sweater. The knock on Pipino's door 3 days later was not unexpected. 2 officers stood there, not for an arrest, but to deliver a message from Antonio Palmozzi, chief of Venice's Special Investigations Unit. Pipino, perhaps with a hint of eager anticipation, had been expecting this very moment. In the intricate web of Venetian society, where canals whisper tales of intrigue and grandeur, Vincenzo Pipino had etched his name as the most accomplished thief of his time. By the early 1990s, his exploits had become the stuff of modern legend, with a career spanning over 30 years marked by audacious and idiosyncratic heists. His reputation was cemented not just by the scale of his thefts, but by the elegance and discernment with which he executed them. From robbing the homes of Venice's nobility and snatching prized masterworks, to the daring infiltration of the Swiss consulate for a hefty 150 million lira, Pipino's adventures read like the chapters of a thrilling novel. His criminal accomplishments were diverse and sometimes bordered on the whimsical. He robbed none other than Cary Grant, the iconic actor known for portraying a master thief himself, and even liberated a despondent gorilla from a zoo in Rome, driven by a pang of sympathy. His audacity knew no bounds. He even committed a high-stakes robbery of the Venice casino. Each of these feats contributed to his growing status as a local legend. Pipino's philosophy was simple yet profound. The ostentation of the aristocracy was a magnet for thieves like him, but in a twist of irony proving that no one knows for sure exactly who is going to be a high-class tastemaker, some of the victims of Pipino's burglaries considered it an honor to have been chosen by such a discerning thief, seeing it as a validation of their good taste. Pipino saw his actions as a tax of sorts, a price the wealthy paid for the privilege of displaying their affluence so shamelessly. The police, often involved in negotiating the return of stolen items, emerged as heroes. The aristocrats boasted of their brush with notoriety, and Pipino made a living. A cycle where, in his eyes, everyone benefited. Pipino's relationship with the law, particularly with Antonio Palmozzi, the chief of Venice's Special Investigations Unit, was one of mutual respect and professional camaraderie. Palmozzi, an honest and skilled detective with a penchant for bushy mustaches and loose ties, treated his criminal captures with a degree of dignity, celebrating their release with spumoni and well wishes. Pipino and Palmozzi often met for coffee, their discussions a dance between two professionals at the top of their respective games. Theirs was a rivalry that transcended the usual boundaries of law and crime, each seeing the other as a worthy counterpart. Following the heist of the Gardini Palazzo, Palmozzi and Pipino's next meeting unfolded with a blend of casual banter and veiled inquiries. Pipino, feigning ignorance about the stolen wooden lion, offered his services as a concerned Venetian citizen, refusing any monetary reward. But then the conversation took a turn as Pipino artfully steered it toward the inconvenience of parking his boat without a covered dock, subtly hinting at the Gardini's conveniently located and well-equipped berth near his home. As he sipped his espresso, the smile playing on Pipino's lips was more than just a reaction to the coffee. It was the smile of a man who knew the art of the unsaid, a master thief who played his cards with the deftness of a magician, always one step ahead in the enchanting dance of shadows, that is, Venice. As Vincenzo Pipino steered his Moschettieri speedboat away from the Gardini's dock, the exhilaration of his recent heist still lingered. The Gardini family had their prized wooden lion back, and Pipino, in his quintessential Italian style, reveled in the success. The Giudecca Canal spread before him, a shimmering path under the Venetian sun. Venice was not just a backdrop for Pipino's escapades. It was a character in its own right, its beauty and mystique fueling each of his clandestine endeavors. As he tied up his boat near Piazza San Marco, Pipino's mind was already on his next venture. The Marciana Library, with its treasure trove of manuscripts detailing the lives of Venetian aristocrats and their art, was more than a place of learning for him. It was a gateway to understanding his targets, a source of inspiration for future heists. However, his plans for a quiet day at the library were abruptly interrupted by Andrea Zamadio, a known associate of the notorious Mala del Brenta, the Venetian mafia. This encounter signaled trouble. Zamadio's connection to Felice Maniero, the feared and unpredictable leader of the Mala del Brenta, known as Faccia d'Angelo, meant that any request coming from him carried a dangerous weight. Maniero, a complex figure with a charming demeanor that masked his ruthless nature, had proved to be a constant challenge for law enforcement. His dramatic escapes from prison and lavish lifestyle, including a red Ferrari reminiscent of Magnum PI, contrasted starkly with his continued residence with his mother. His gang's escalating violence, demonstrated in their recent attack on a passenger train, was a clear indication of their growing audacity and threat. Zamadio's message from Maniero put Pipino in a precarious position. He proposed a heist of the Ca Dario Museum, intended to leverage Maniero's negotiating power with the authorities, but it was a plan fraught with risk. Pipino understood that such a brazen act would not only endanger lives, but could also irreparably damage the delicate ecosystem of art theft in Venice. The inevitable security clampdown would make Pipino's cherished, methodical, low-profile operations nearly impossible. Faced with an ultimatum from Maniero, Pipino was in a bind. His refusal could lead to fatal consequences, but participation in the heist would go against everything he stood for, and destroy a reputation that he had spent decades building. His solution was a daring one: to carry out a theft so sensational that it would capture global attention, yet do it alone, maintaining control and minimizing the risks associated with Maniero's more heavy-handed approach. Meeting with Roby, one of Maniero's trusted lieutenants, in the secluded privacy of a cornfield, Pipino laid out his plan. He would secure a valuable piece of art independently, guaranteeing worldwide news coverage. This approach, while audacious, was more in line with Pipino's style and expertise. It was a gamble, but one that Pipino was willing to take to preserve his way of life and the artful subtlety of his craft. As Roby accepted the proposal, the stage was set for one of Pipino's most daring exploits yet, the details of which would soon unfold in the headlines. And if you'd like to find out just what those details are, please do rejoin me this Sunday for The Daylight Cat Burglar, Pipino, and the Madonna Col Bambino, Part 2. As always, I appreciate you choosing to spend your time with me. I'm Zevin Odelberg, and this has been Kinda Murdery.
If you like the show, please subscribe, review, and tell your friends. You can find us on social media at kindofmurdery or email at kindofmurdery@gmail.com.